Hari Om. In the data mining and data warehousing course, we have covered three modules. The first module dealt with what is data warehousing, and the second module dealt with what is data mining and how it differs from knowledge discovery and the database management system. We also discuss what are the different techniques of data mining in module 2. And in module 3, one of the very important data mining techniques was discussed, which is association rule mining, in which we talked about what are the different algorithms for frequent item set generation, and then how the association rules can be generated from the frequent item sets. The fourth module, we will be discussing about the second major technique of data mining, which is clustering technique, that includes all these techniques. In this video, we are going to discuss the very basics of clustering. Now, if you take the data mining methods, we have already seen the data mining approaches can be predictive approach or it can be a descriptive approach. And in the descriptive method, we have already covered what is association rule and how association rules can be generated from the given transaction database. In this video, we are going to talk about the clustering. So clustering is nothing but we are going to find out the natural grouping of the data instances given in the unlabeled data format. And apart from these two descriptive methods, we have classification and regression, which we will be discussing in the fifth module. If you take clustering, we can say clustering is a very useful technique for data discovery of data distribution and patterns in the given data. Now, if I say data distribution and patterns, how the given data or the underlying data has been distributed among themselves and what kind of patterns are available in the data distribution. That is what is identified in the clustering technique. So the goal is to find out both dense region as well as the sparse region in the underlying data. So where all the data objects are closely related or closely connected, that becomes the dense region. And if the data objects are widely spread or scattered around, then that kind of pattern gives the sparse region. So the major goal of clustering is to find out the patterns where the data are closely connected or the data are scattered to form the sparse region. Now, if you take the data clustering, it has been studied in the statistics, machine learning with different approaches. And the clustering is generally based on the concept of distance metrics or similarity metrics. So that is what the clustering process will do. It is used for identifying the objects which are similar, and those similar objects will be forming one particular cluster. So if I want to identify what are the similar objects available, I need a metric for evaluation. So I can use distance metrics or I will be using similarity metrics. We will be discussing how the distance metric is used in the clustering algorithm later. The statistical applications and pattern recognition use the real numbers. Then these real numbers have lots of metrics available, and those metrics can be used to find out the distance between the objects, or those metrics can be used as similarity metrics also. So the clustering algorithm uses lots of statistical the statistical applications as well as the pattern recognition uses lots of numerical data, and these numerical data have the metrics which is used for finding the distance or finding the similarity between the data objects. Now, the major objective of the clustering process is we need to cluster the data objects with as high accuracy as possible, and we need to minimize the input output operation. So, shuffling the data objects from one cluster to another cluster is what we call as minimizing the input output operation. But when I do the clustering process, the data objects must be grouped together in such a way that they have high accuracy as possible. But if you take the database, the underlying database, the objects of the underlying database cannot be ordered. Why? Because most of the time the object attributes may be categorical. Say for example, if you have a designation of the employees, so designation of the employees will be obviously categorical data. So you will call the designation like peon, clerk, accountant, section officer, then manager, branch manager, general manager. So these kind of values for any particular attribute can be called as categorical attribute. And not only that, most of the database will have number of items also. Suppose if you take a supermarket, the number of items available in a supermarket is very large. And not only that, if you take a student database, in the student database the number of attributes for that particular student will be large. Say you will start with name of the student, roll number, date of birth, course, semester, the subjects they are studying, the position they are holding, then if they have the ranks, marks, percentage. So the number of attributes for that particular database is going to be very large. So having categorical attribute, having more number of items, having more number of attributes, all these things become a challenge for designing a clustering technique. So the conventional clustering methods that handle the numeric attributes are not suitable for all the kind of clustering process. That is what we have to understand from this particular point. So if I have a very conventional clustering method, it will be handling only the numerical data, and these numerical data will be used for clustering the data objects. But in general, in practice, or when you take the natural databases or the real-time databases, all these databases contain lots of attributes and the categorical values also, which cannot be used as the base for the clustering using the conventional clustering method. That is the challenge we have in the clustering process. Now let us see what is a cluster. So cluster is nothing but collection of data objects which are similar to one another within the same cluster but dissimilar to the objects in other cluster. This is the condition for the objects to be in the same cluster. If you observe here, all these objects are very much similar, and all these objects are very much similar, and all these objects are very much similar to one another within the same cluster, and they are dissimilar to objects in other clusters. So the object here is dissimilar to the object here in this particular cluster. So these kind of collection of data objects is what we call as a cluster, and the process of grouping a set of physical or abstract objects into classes of similar objects is what we call as clustering process. So cluster is nothing but collection of data objects which are similar to one another but dissimilar to the objects on the other clusters. but the process of grouping these kinds of data objects, similar data objects into a particular cluster is what you call as clustering process. Now, if I take the clustering process, it is widely used in many applications. These are some of the applications where the clustering process can be used. We can use it for the medical application, or we can use it for image processing. We use it for marketing and marketing research and marketing application, the crime analysis application, the data analysis, pattern recognition. So these are some of the areas where we use the clustering technique. For example, if you take the medical application, we can take the image of a particular brain, and the image portions will be analyzed to identify different patterns, and if there is any kind of variations we find from the normal brain image to the image taken from a particular person, then we can say so there is some kind of tumor available, or some kind of blood clot is available. These things can be easily identified using the clustering technique. And not only that, the clustering technique will also help in the medical application to diagnose some images, to find out the symptoms. So the expert systems, right? So which the expert systems which will help in diagnosing some kind of diseases can also be using the clustering technique. So what it will do, it will take lots of images, lots of brain images, or lots of images of say for example 1000 brain tumor images will be taken, and it will start analyzing the symptoms, or it will help in diagnosing the diseases. So these are the areas where we will be using the clustering process. Or in the case of marketing, right, so in which particular cluster lots of sales are happening, or in which particular cluster or in which particular locality lots of sales of a particular item is happening. So these kind of things can be analyzed using the clustering technique. And in these applications, when I say these are the applications where we use the clustering technique, these applications, in these applications cluster analysis will be performed, especially to improve the business functions. So if you want to do the cluster analysis, we should understand what are the different stages of cluster analysis and what are the requirements of clustering algorithms for cluster analysis. So let us see what are the different stages of clustering process. So if I want to do the clustering process, I need a large amount of data. This is very, very important. Suppose if you want to design an expert system for diagnosing the brain tumor, you need to collect around thousands and thousands of brain tumor images. So the data collection is very, very important, which becomes the very first stage of clustering process. Then initial screening, whatever data has been collected, the data has to be scrutinized to find out whether all the data are very valid data, and if you have any noisy data, that must be removed, and if you have any inconsistent data, all these data has to be transformed into consistent data. So this is what we call as initial screening. So once the data is collected, you have to find out whether the data is suitable for your clustering process. Then once the data has been scrutinized or screened, we had to represent the data. So what kind of clustering tendency the data is having, based on that we go for representing the data. So sometimes if you have categorical data, the categorical data will be converted into numerical data. Say In some of the databases, the gender of a person may be represented as female and male using English terms male MALE and female FEMALE. So if this is the case, the male and female data becomes the categorical data. Now this categorical data has to be converted or transformed into numerical data, something like 0 or 1, right? So this kind of representation. So I'm just giving you an example of the attribute called as gender. Apart from that, you may be having lots of other categorical attribute, and these attributes may be represented in different ways. Another stage is the clustering tendency. So once you have collected the data, then screened the data, scrutinized the data to find out whether all the data are valid or not. So once you get a valid and useful data for the clustering process, the next stage is you go for representing the data. So you represent the data in such a way that the data can be easily given as the input for your clustering algorithm. So once the data is ready, you have to find out what kind of clustering tendency it has, whether it has to be taken for the partitioning clustering or it has to be taken for the density based clustering. So what type of data is there and what kind of tendency the data is having for the clustering, that should be identified. Then once it is identified, whether if the data is having the tendency for forming the groups like density based data, then you will go for that kind of clustering technique. So only then you will decide what clustering technique can be used. Identify what kind of tendency the data is having. Based on the tendency of the data, we are going to fix the strategy or the technique we are going to have for the clustering process. So there you will decide whether we will go for the partitioning clustering or hierarchical clustering or density based clustering or grid based clustering. So what kind of strategy we are going to select is completely based on the tendency of the data. So once the clustering is completed, we go for validating the clustering, what is the kind of accuracy we have in the clustering process, whether the clustering process gives 100% accuracy or 80% or 60%, that should also be identified. So once you validate the clustering process, we can go for interpreting the output given by the clustering process. So these are the different stages of clustering process. Apart from that, any clustering algorithm will also have some of the requirements. So these are the requirements of clustering algorithms in the data mining. Your clustering algorithm must be scalable and it must have the ability to deal with different types of attributes, both numerical attributes, categorical attributes, or that kind of attributes must also be dealt by the clustering algorithm. The clustering algorithm must be able to discover the clusters with arbitrary shape also. Not only the clusters of spherical shape, apart from that it must also be able to discover the arbitrary shape. When I say arbitrary shape, like suppose you want to find out the water regions, right? So where you have rivers or where you have ponds, lakes, etc. So when you see the rivers and ponds or lakes, they will not have a particular shape, they will be in the arbitrary shape. So those kind of clusters should also be identified using the clustering algorithm. So the clustering algorithms that are used for the GPS, right, geographical positioning system, there you will be having different shapes for each and every region, right? arbitrary shapes for each and every region. So that must be able to identify by the clustering algorithm. And not only that, the clustering algorithm must have the domain knowledge to determine the input parameters of the algorithm, and it must be able to deal with noisy data, right? When I say noisy data, the data that you have may not have be valid, and it may have some missing data, or it may be having some inconsistent data. So all these data must be dealt by the clustering algorithm, and the clustering algorithm must have high dimensionality, because the large collection of data will have more dimensions, right? It is not going to have 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions. Instead, the different dimensional aspects will be considered for the given data. So that high dimensions should also be dealt by the clustering algorithm. So that is another requirement of the clustering algorithm. So if you want to design a clustering algorithm, so these are the requirements of the algorithm. And constraint based clustering, so your data will have lots of constraints, or the processing may have lots of constraints, that should also be included in the clustering process, and it must be interoperable and usability, right? So it must be dealing with the output of different algorithms. Interoperability should be there, and different kinds of data and different kinds of operations will be there. So that should also be dealt by the clustering algorithm. So these are the requirements very briefly given here. We are not going to deal with each and every requirement. You can have further reading for identifying these kinds of requirements and how these requirements can be implemented in a clustering algorithm. Next, we are going to talk about clustering paradigm. So far all these slides are the answer for what do you mean by clustering. So what is clustering? All these points coming under what is clustering. Next, we are going to talk about the clustering paradigms. Now, different techniques, clustering techniques are there for data mining, and lots of efforts have focused on finding methods for efficient and effective cluster analysis in large databases. Now, if you take the clustering algorithms are used both for numerical data and the categorical data. These are the different clustering algorithms available. We have partitional clustering, hierarchical clustering, density based clustering, grid based clustering, model based clustering. So these are the different clustering algorithms available. In our syllabus, we have the partitioning algorithm, which is the k-mean algorithm, and sorry, not k-mean algorithm, we will be talking about k-medoid algorithm in our syllabus. Then we will be talking about Clarence and Clara in very briefly. Then we will talk about what is hierarchical clustering, and we'll be discussing very briefly about Diana and Agnes algorithms. Then we have density based clustering. DBSCAN is one of the density based clustering method which is included in our syllabus. So these are the major algorithms we will be discussing in our syllabus. Now, if you take all these clustering algorithms differ in their ability to handle different types of attributes. Especially some algorithms deal with numeric attributes, some algorithms deal with categorical attributes, and some algorithms are capable of handling both numerical and categorical attributes. And these clustering algorithms also differ in the accuracy of clustering, right? So some algorithms give you 98% accuracy, whereas other algorithms may give you only 60% accuracy, etc. So based on the accuracy of clustering they differ, and they also differ in the case of disk resident data, how their ability to handle the disk resident data, right? So when you have the large database, right, so the large database may not be accommodated in the primary memory at a time, so you may be partitioning the data, so you partition the data and only one partition may be loaded into the primary memory. So your algorithm should be capable of handling the disk resident data also, right? So some data is available in your secondary storage device and some data is available in the primary memory. If this is the case, how it is going to handle the clustering process? So based on these things, the clustering algorithms generally differ. And there are two main approaches for the numerical data clustering. The clustering process has two main approaches, especially for the numerical data. One you call as hierarchical clustering and the other one is partitioning clustering. So this partitional and the hierarchical clustering mainly deal with the numerical data. So we will be talking about the two major algorithms, hierarchical and partitional clustering, in our next video. Thank you.